That one wanted it. Straight round. The feeder hadn't been in the water for 2 seconds then and it went straight round. That is the power of the method. Right, everyone. Back to the old school videos. This is just filmed entirely on my GoPro. And I literally had just a couple of hours spare this afternoon and I just thought, do you know what? Let's go get a video done. I had a match the other week and I was fishing the method and I felt really rusty. My casting was a little bit off. I pride myself on my casting and it was a little bit off, so I thought just need to come and have a bit of a fish. Simple stuff. What we're going to do today, we're literally just going to fish tight to an island with the method, not the hybrid or the banjo, the actual method. In the summer I really like the method. It's horses for courses. I think when you're fishing in shallow water up against islands, personally I just think the method's better. I think you're getting more bait in the swim. I think you're getting the fish competing. Whereas I think the banjo hybrid style is better for trap setting. So if you're fishing open water or maybe sitting for 10 minutes at a time for a bite, then I think the banjo hybrid is unbeatable for that. But when you're in the method feeder, I fished this place before, this is Rushton Hall. You get a lot of quick bites and I think the method is perfect for that. So we've just got 30 gram ICS feeder on, little bead, 4-inch hook length, and that's actually a ready tied hook length. That's a size 12 KKH with a little pink wafter on. Bait, really simple. I've done some 2mm micros and I've done it in the Mick Viles way. I just filled it up to the brim with pellets. That was exactly half a bag of 2mm pellets. Filled it with water and left it, and then they've soaked up lovely, and then I've put a little bit of Horlicks on them just to help them bind a bit. I like them quite sticky for the method, so they'll be perfect. And then you can't go method feeder fishing without a bit of ground bait, and I've just got 1/3 of a bag of sonubaits match method. And when I mix it on the dry side for method fishing. I think it's a bit different. When I fish, so much of my fishing is done with over wet ground baits, but I think for the method it's a bit different. You want, when you squeeze your ball, like you can see hopefully, you want it to compress. Whereas if that was over wet, especially with match method mix, you can feel it like a sponge going through your fingers. This, because I've done it on the dry side, it's something I picked up from Des ship. You just squeeze it and it goes hard like that. So you can imagine on the method, it's hard on the feeder like that, which is really important. Remember, we've got to get that feeder to the bottom. So I've got ground bait and I've got pellets. We'll work out which one's best, but only a little bit of bait. I'm going to be fishing for a couple of hours at the most. And then just to keep things simple, I've got some of these, yellow and reds. And then I've got some of these, again, which loads of different colours. Probably put a pink one of them on to start with. So that's it, really simple. I think we should get fishing, hopefully catch a load of fish. Give it a go. You know, I'll put some pellets in to start with. See if I can work my casting a bit better than I was the other day. Not bad, but work to be done. Now, I've kept my micros and my ground bait separately, but I wouldn't be surprised if I put like a 50-50 mix of the two on, or even 70% pellets and 30% ground bait. Sometimes fishing's hard everywhere at the minute. Sometimes you do need a bit of ground bait just to get fish in the feeding mood, so definitely got that option. Kept them separate to start with, but we'll mix the two together. Better chuck. 2 chucks. Getting it in the right place helps. Come on. Oh, that's disappointing. Hell, it's lovely with that binder on it. It's worked so well. One. Let's try and get this one out. Pretty little fish. Little mirror, a couple of pounds. Good start. Good one. Just look at this place, isn't it the most beautiful fishery? Look at it. This is Rushton Hall, this is where we're fishing today. It's my new love. Just joined this place as a member of the club. Look, how's that for a commercial? I mean, there's a lot of carp in here. I wouldn't say it was like a commercial, but there's lots of fish in here. You know, £100 wins the matches, and when you come pleasuring you catch plenty of carp. So it's got this central island 20 metres away, and there's a big gap, and there's another little island, then another gap, and then like a floating island, and then a big area there as you walk in. Toilets, great platforms for anyone who's looking for a new venue in the Market Harbour sort of Rushton area. Look at this, what a stunning place. In fact, there's a fish cruise in there, but it's just lovely, isn't it? It's one of them places I didn't even know it was here, and now I'm a member, I can't keep away. There's actually a bit of line over there, which I think is why I'm getting so many line. Lovely, gorgeous fish. Straight away I've noticed something. Off that point where I'm chucking is really shallow. Could be like 2 foot or less. Put it this way, every time I hook a fish I can see it coming into the swim. So ground bait could be good here. So I'm going to make the switch to putting ground bait on, but first I want to put the harness on. So hopefully you can see the action a bit closer. I'm just popping a pink wafter on. I do actually like these Fuka ones, the hookables. Nice and soft. And so you've got that 30g feeder on. And what I found, they want quite a bit of bait, so I'm actually filling the feeder up once, like so. And I'm actually putting a second, not as much on, but a second helping on. And giving it a decent squeeze, like so. And you get a perfect little double skin. And I'll just give it another little squeeze, and let's get it in there. Now, it's a bit of a tricky cast because that overhang is there. In fact, that was a terrible cast, but we'll go with it. Awful cast. I think what I need to do, I think I need to take a couple of foot off the clip, because where I'm chucking it at the minute is a good spot. It's right under that overhanging tree. But I keep clipping the bush that's above it, so I think if I just take a couple of foot off, I think it might be a bit smoother. There's loads of fish there, and look at the tips never still. So, you can actually see them coming in round the corner from that lily pads. It must be quite shallow there, which is good because I can actually see them. Bit of an inquiry. Could be on that. Could be on it. Oh, never know. Tell you what, there's loads of fish there. Next chuck, we'll chuck this one in, and then there's always a way. At the minute, I'm not quite getting it. Not catching as many fish as what I need to be. Well, I'd say need to be. I think I should be. So what I'm going to do is have this cast, I'm going to take a couple of foot off the clip. That's better. Much better. Chuck it there every time, I think we're going to be fine. And just sink the line, even though there's a lot of fish feeding. You still got to do the. Got to do everything right, like. Oh. You still, that was what I was going to do me then. Joe got a strong kit on. Still got to do everything right. I like to always sink the line. I like to always load the feeder right. Very important stuff, that is. If we don't get the basics right, then we're just not going to catch many fish. For those interested, I use 8-pound detection on the reel, but you could easily use 6. 6 is strong, but there are some big fish in this lake and a lot of lily pads and stuff, so why not use the 8? I'm using a pre-tied jobby 021, which is stronger than I normally would use for the method, to be fair, but I fancy this 021's quite good here. It's quite clear water and the fish are going nuts. Cracking fish, that. I think lobster is hanging outside of his mouth. Oh, fell off. Nice common. And that was just away from the bank, that little bit. Cracking fish. Just getting back. Okay. Just got to check everything. Like I said, doesn't hurt to do the basics right. I always check my up point by just jabbing it in my finger, and if I can still, not a wince, but get that little, that little feeling where you just know the hook's sharp still, then it's good to me. Now, if you do have, like I say, I don't mind having this bait still on the feeder, but it's best to actually clear it off if you can when you're loading the feeder, because you can't get a firm compression when you've got all that wet mix still on there. So just use a baiting needle or whatever just to get it off there, because like I say, we want to do everything right. So double skinning is definitely the answer at the moment. One load. Two loads. And then, like I say,
give it a decent squeeze at this part. As you can see, we're getting to the bait quick. Right, so I was much more confident in the cast that time. Yeah, that's it, we've got it. We're in the groove now. Well, kind of. Now you notice I leave the tip quite slack, hopefully you can see that. That's for a reason. I think when you've got a lot of fish about, like what we have today, if you've got your tip bolted right round to the feeder, you probably will get, you know, maybe you would hook them a little bit faster maybe, but the problem is every time you get a liner it's potentially moving your feeder. So I like to have a bit of slack, and just in my head it means that the fish can be moving around that feeder and be less prone to moving my feeder. I don't know what they are. It's happened quite a lot today already. You get like a little ding 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 on the tip. I don't know whether they're silvers. There's a lot of like quality roach and stuff in here. Or whether it's carp ejecting the hook bait, I'm not sure. Nothing to show. There's loads of fish over there. See, it happened again. Like you almost feel like, because it's one of them, you think that's going to go, but it doesn't. I wonder if we need a shorter hook length. It didn't take long, did it? God, they're strong in here. They want to snap you as soon as you hook them. I always play the fish off the clutch, but I don't mind like when I'm getting close to engage the back line, so I can, if I do have a sudden one, I can just like let some line off. If, you know, if you feel like the clutch isn't, it's a bit cut, a bit slow to react, you can just let a bit of back wind off. They're lovely fish, aren't they? Look at them. Look, see that's bizarre. I noticed this last time I came. I'm hooking him in the top lip on the method, which isn't where you should be hooking them. You should be hooking them in the bottom lip. I feel like there's something wrong with your setup, and I don't know what it is. Oh, I don't want to get out in there. Get out. I think I'll go home. I don't know if my hook length's too long. I wonder if my hook length's too long for this size of fish. We'll experiment, I think. While we're waiting for the next bite, we'll try tying up a shorter one. So do everything right, do the small things right. Clear that feeder off. I've even got a bowl of water here. Comes in very handy. I'll try ground bait again in a minute. So do the small things right. Do the basics right, and then you can experiment with other things. I'm cooking on gas now, I feel. It's really shallow. I think that's half the problem. Well, not a problem, of course. Let's see if we get them little dinks. And if we do, I'm going to change. Maybe shorten that hook length. See if it makes a difference. So I noticed it the other day. I was getting. Well, it happened again. There's nothing on there, so it's not the end of the world. But feel like we could be catching them really fast. Ah, see, this is what I think we're talking about. I think this is a skimmer. That might be what the little indications are. Skimmer's picking the bait up. Skimmer. Yeah. Yeah, it could be these, couldn't it? That's in the top lip. Nice fish. Yeah. I'm catching them on the pole. Why am I hooking them in the top lip? It's not what you should be doing on the feeder. Let's try some ground bait to mix things up a bit. Sometimes ground bait can be really effective like that. Get out. I mean, at the speed I put that ground bait on really firm, and look how quick they're on it. That was like a 10-second bite. A lovely fish, that's more like it, the bottom lip. A lovely fish, look at them. 2 to 3 pound carp. Absolutely mega. Well, that works. Put some ground down. Yeah. And sometimes, like I say, especially when the fish need a bit of encouragement to get in that shallow water, the ground bait can be really good because obviously it creates its own a bit of colour in the swim, a bit of smell, a bit of cloud. It can really draw them fish in. So I thought I'd just show you the setup that we're using. Now I'm just using a 10-foot, I mean it's an aerated rod, but any sort of nice through action 10-foot rod. There's loads from 50 quid right up to as much as you want to spend. I just like this one, I use it for pretty much all my commercial fishing, to be fair. I've got 8-pound detection loaded on a magnitude reel. Very nice too, and that's straight through. And then this is the little feeder setup. So we've got 30 gram ICS inline method feeder. Again, I always I fish inline pretty much all the time now. I got a bit fed up of carrying elasticated and inline, so I just use inline. And I've got to be honest, I hardly lose any fish on inline, so it seems like a good option to me. I've got a 4-inch hook length, which is a pre-tied one, I showed you that before, and I've got a 12 kkh with a little needle on there. I'm just wanting to show you how we're moulding it up, and I showed you I'm just putting a pink on, and I think there's something about the bait that is really important, so let's just show you a bit closer up. Right, so that was the setup of the tackle, but the really important thing is how we actually get the bait on the method, because we've showed you them pellets, we've prepared them in the Tupperware, we've put that little bit of Horlicks on there. They're nice, they've dried out a touch, which is important, and I just want to show you how important the texture of your bait, be that ground bait or pellets, is so important, because if your ground bait or your pellets are too wet, you can't get the compression with the mould. By that I mean you don't ever seal the feeder on the bait onto the feeder, so the harder you're pressing, it's actually spewing out the sides of the mould, it's spewing through these holes, that's no good. You want to be pressing that in there, and it barely any bait residue coming through. There's always going to be a little bit, but the wetter these pellets are, or the wetter your ground bait is, you'll see it coming through almost like paste, and it's no good. Your feed is just not going to get to the bottom intact, or it will get to the bottom intact, but less likely to, which we're aiming for consistency with what we're doing, so we want to make sure it's right. So the way I like to do it is to put a little skin in first, and this is how most people probably do it. Little skin in first, put the hook bait on top, a few more pellets over the top of that, almost like press them down a little bit, and then we squeeze the feeder on. Now this is what I'm talking about the squeeze. I'm fishing that firmly, and yes, there's a tiny bit coming through, but next to nothing really, considering I'm really pressing that. If these pellets were too wet, all that side would be spewing through like Play-Doh. And as you can see, a couple of presses, and you've got a beautiful feeder there. It's compressed, there's hardly any gaps like air holes or anything like that. That's going to get to the bottom and break up in no time. And the same goes for the ground bait really. It's something that Des Ship taught me. Now I like to over wet my ground baits for my pole fishing. I'm big on fishing with wet ground baits, but the problem is with that, it doesn't, again, you get that Play-Doh effect where it comes through the side of the mould. And Des actually showed me this trick, and he's like, just mix your match method mix, so it's obviously mixed, but it's not wet at all. Like, it's like crumbly almost. Like, it will make a ball, of course, but it's almost dry to the touch, just enough dampness to make it work. But the difference is, when I was mixing it up as I would do for the pole, I was getting that the bait coming through the side of the mould like we was talking about, and that's no good. Whereas this, I'm going to call it the Des Ship mix, because it was him who told me about it. Watch this. Much easier when you sat in your box. Look, as hard as I press that, there's no bait coming through that mould or the holes in the feeder. Pop it out and you've got perfectly compressed ground bait on that method. And again, we've shown you today, we've had some rapid bites, so that breaks down in no time at all. So having your ground bait a bit soft, a bit drier than probably what you'd normally have it, can be a big advantage. So that's how I mould it. Let's see if we can catch a couple more to finish this great little session. So I can't catch anything to the island now. I've just started throwing a bit of baiting down here. And there's an odd one coming down here. So I might have to have a go down here. That being said, I've got one. At last. It's taken a while though. Just goes to show you, sometimes you've got to be a bit proactive. Like, we had to move swims a few times, keep nicking fish from around the island, and then we've actually gone in the real shallow water to get that one. And he's very welcome indeed. Nice fish. Yeah, there we go. Lovely session on the method. Hasn't been easy. It was at the start, but hasn't been towards the end. But we've had a good session in a very laid-back style. I feel like my casting is better now than when I started. So hope you enjoyed that. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And before I go home, I'm going to drop the method down there, see if we can't catch one down this edge.